Elena Lin, the kind of woman who could make silence feel expensive, gave her male secretary a watch worth millions. He couldn't resist bragging online, posting some poetic nonsense about hard work and determination. "Only those who work hard will be rewarded," he wrote. "A determined heart will never be in vain. I'll keep pushing forward, my queen." When my assistant forwarded me that post, I didn't react right away. I simply sent it to Elena. "1 million is small change," I texted. "How much do you think counts as a big sum, CEO Lin?" Her reply came back almost instantly. "Over 10 million. So I told her, "Transfer me 20 million within a minute, with the note, voluntary gift." Her next message was short. "Stop it, hubby." A minute later, her phone buzzed again, but this time with a video. In it, I smashed the antique vase her first love had given her, worth exactly 20 million. Her call came immediately after. "Do you know how expensive that vase was? What do you really want?" I glanced at the $1 million watch on my wrist. Was my message not clear enough? "You have 34 seconds left. I'm standing in front of the painting in your bedroom. You know what'll happen next." She hung up. 20 seconds later, my account pinged with a 20 million transfer. I sent her a photo, the shredded remains of her favorite antique painting. "The vase was a warning," I texted. "The painting is the punishment. Elena, you're already married." This time there was no reply. No call, nothing, but I knew her. She was furious. In marriages like ours, love isn't the currency, power is. The wedding had been grand, but the marriage hollow. We slept in separate rooms from day one, polite enough to still say goodnight. When we finally crossed that line months later, it was the alcohol, not affection, that brought us together. Elena came from old money, a family polished by generations of etiquette and expectation. I came from fists, bricks, and machetes. My father's kind of wealth didn't come with manners. So no, I don't believe in love at first sight. Ours was supposed to grow slowly, quietly. I loved her, she loved me, but logic always came first. Until that pretty boy crossed the line. When I saw him post again, smiling that smug, sunlit smile beside her at a dinner event, I knew what she was doing. Revenge. She wanted to provoke me, because earlier that day, I destroyed the things she cherished most, and she wanted me to feel what she felt. But Elena Lin should have known by now, when it comes to revenge, her entire family couldn't match even one of my fingers. That boy. He'd once pushed Elena out of the way of a speeding truck, only to be hit himself. He died instantly. The love letter he left behind was the last piece of him she ever had, and she guarded it like her own heartbeat. That's when it hit me. The new secretary, his face, his smile, he looked just like him. Her first love. It wasn't hard to see what was happening. Elena Lin, CEO of Steel and Glass, had started living her own version of substitute literature. She wasn't just mentoring that boy, she was reliving a story that ended too soon. Then her message came through. Don't touch it. No punctuation, no polish. Just panic, raw, unfiltered panic. She was terrified I'd destroy that letter. "Elena, call me." This time she didn't hesitate. The call connected almost instantly. Her voice was small, unsteady. "Stop it, hubby. Can we talk when I get home? Put it on speaker." "What do you want?" I said, "Put it on speaker." A pause. Then the sound of rustling, murmurs in the background. "I'm sorry to interrupt," I said, my voice calm but cutting. "I just heard CEO Lin brought a new colleague to dinner tonight. Wanted to confirm." "Hubby, it's not what you think," she said quickly, her tone trembling. "We're just co-workers. Please don't misunderstand." "Really?" I asked quietly. "Then what kind of CEO gives $1 million watch to her secretary?" "Elena, I don't care what your relationship is. But right now, I want you to pick up the dish in front of you and throw it in his face." She gasped. "You can refuse," I added, "but the consequences will be on you." That night, the pretty boy, Fernando, left the dinner with soup dripping down his face. Word spread faster than wildfire. My friend Sean couldn't stop texting. "Bro, that was insane. Your wife went full savage mode. That soup was still boiling. Is this some kind of game between you two? This'll be all over the office tomorrow. That kid's never showing his face again." I texted back, "It's simple. If you stop caring, you'll have control." Sean's excitement fizzled. "Yeah, can't do that. I actually love my wife." Of course he did. He and his wife were childhood sweethearts, the kind of couple that still called each other baby in front of people. The kind that made everyone else roll their eyes. Then he asked, "Your wife looked wrecked when she left. She's not going to fight you when she gets home, right?" "Fight?" I replied. "You think she'd dare?" Half an hour later, the bedroom door flew open. Elena stormed in like a storm in heels, yanking the blanket off me. Her eyes were blazing. "Where are my things?" I didn't move. Didn't speak. Just watched her. "Alexia, where are my things?" she demanded again, her voice cracking. Still, I stayed silent. After a long, suffocating minute, her anger broke into exhaustion. She slumped onto the bed. "I did what you asked. I humiliated myself tonight. It's a miracle he didn't call the cops. What more do you want? Did I make you lose face? Don't you think you owe me an explanation now?" Silence stretched between us until she whispered, "He's just a kid. A college grad. There's nothing between us. What do I have to say to make you believe that?" "Elena," I said softly, "it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. 1 million isn't much to you," I continued, "but to most people it's a lifetime. You gave it away like it meant nothing. You didn't just hand him a watch, you handed him a dream, a fantasy. What did you think that would do to him?" Her eyes darted away. "You let him believe he was special," I said. "You let him post about it. You even took him to dinner, sat beside him, let him replace me. You fired your last secretary for less, so why didn't you fire him?" Her silence said everything. "It's your indulgence that made him bold. Your favoritism that made him think he stood a chance." Then I said it, the truth she'd been trying to bury. I looked at his file. He's not qualified. You made him your secretary because he reminds you of the boy who died for you. You're not mentoring him, Elena. You're mourning through him. Her breath caught. The fire in her eyes dimmed into something softer, sadder. "Elena," I whispered, "look at me." She did, slowly, our eyes locked. I cupped her face, kissed her hard. "I love you," I said. "Now tell me you love me?" Her voice trembled. "I do." I reached into the drawer and pulled out the faded pink envelope. "I wasn't part of your past," I said gently, pressing it into her hand. "But I don't want to miss your future. I won't touch what you cherish, but don't make me hate you, okay?" Her eyes softened. Her cheeks flushed. Then she leaned in, flipped me onto the bed, and kissed me like she wanted to erase every word I'd just said, fierce, desperate, like a she-wolf reclaiming her prey. Elena clung to my neck, her voice trembling against my skin. "I promise. There will never be a next time." But the next time came, not for her, but for him. Fernando had become the company's running joke. Once, he strutted through the halls with that $1 million watch gleaming on his wrist. The golden boy who monopolized every event, every meeting, every moment beside Elena. But overnight, that shine disappeared. He stopped showing up for work. The chief assistant filed a report. Elena signed it without even blinking. That was all it took for everyone to understand. The queen had withdrawn her favor. In a company like ours, people don't need memos to get the message. Fernando was quietly demoted to the reception desk, banned from the CEO's floor, stripped of the title that had made him special. The whispers started immediately. Some called it karma. Others said the boss's husband had finally snapped. Everyone knew I wasn't the kind of man to let things slide. I'd made Elena pour a bowl of hot soup on him in front of half the business world. That spectacle alone erased every rumor that he might one day be her favorite. From that moment on, people joked that anyone dreaming of becoming the CEO's pillow partner should first prepare their resignation letter. Fernando became the cautionary tale, the name whispered in office kitchens with a smirk and a shake of the head. Some even laughed about that soup to his face. But I don't forgive, and I don't forget. So I gave a simple order, fire him. The chief assistant obeyed immediately. HR didn't dare argue, just signed and sent the notice. Fernando was done. What I didn't expect was how deep his shadow ran. I hadn't known that Elena had shared her most painful story with him, the one about her first love, the boy who died saving her. A story she'd never even told me. The next morning, he showed up to collect his things, wearing tight pants and ridiculous fruit-patterned shoes, smiling like a man who'd lost everything but refused to admit it. And fate, cruel as ever, had him meet Elena in the elevator. He didn't say a word, just looked at her, hurt, hollow, defiant. That look alone cracked something inside her. Moments later, she stormed into her office. The chief assistant stood there bracing himself. Fernando hovered in the background, that smug grin plastered on his face. Elena's voice was sharp enough to cut glass. "I pay your salary, and you use my authority to go after my people? Are you insane? The chief assistant didn't flinch. President Lin, may I ask who exactly you mean by your people? Her breath hitched, realizing what she'd just said. She looked away. You're fired. Don't come to work tomorrow. Fernando will take your place. That night, Elena exploded. For the first time, she shouted at me, eyes blazing, chest heaving with rage. How dare you fire him? Because of jealousy? Because he's younger than you? You think you can run my company just because you're my husband? Her voice trembled, but not from fear, from fury. You've crossed the line, Alexia. Then she grabbed a vase and hurled it to the floor. It shattered between us, the sound sharp and final. You really disappoint me. And with that, she walked out. The door slammed hard enough to shake the frame. I stood there quiet. Then I smiled, coldly, faintly, picked up a shard of the broken vase, still glimmering in the light, and dragged it across my arm. A red line appeared, bright and clean. The blood pooled at my fingertips, fell to the floor, drop by drop. Elena. Since you've chosen to turn against me, I thought, I won't hold back anymore. At the Lin family estate, I arrived with bruises on my face and my arm wrapped in bandages. Father Lin paced the room, rage practically vibrating off him. Mother Lin sat beside me, eyes glistening with tears and resentment. An hour earlier, I'd gone straight to them from the hospital, the perfect picture of a wounded husband. I told them everything, how Elena had humiliated me for a man who looked like her first love. How she defended that boy publicly. How, when I tried to set things right, she lashed out and made me bleed. I spoke quietly, my tone tired, my face full of heartbreak. And it worked. Father Lin's fury ignited instantly. He grabbed his phone and barked into it. I don't care where you are, Elena. Get home now. If you're not standing in front of me in 30 minutes, don't bother coming back at all. Mother Lin clung to my arm, whispering reassurances, her voice trembling with emotion. Don't worry, dear. She'll have to apologize tonight. You've suffered enough. I nodded, saying nothing, my expression calm. But behind that calm was calculation. I wasn't about to stoop to the level of some nobody who had nothing but good looks and borrowed confidence. I had something he didn't: position, power, and allies who would stand with me. A smart man doesn't fight battles he can control. He uses them. And I was about to use this one to win everything. Why waste everything on a petty contest of youth or a resemblance? I asked my father the same thing. His strength was a fact of life. Cross him, and he didn't stop until you were crushed. But tonight I wanted something smaller. Not blood, not a battlefield. I only wanted Elena to concede. If she refused, then let Father step in and finish what I chose not to start. So don't move, I told him. A nuclear weapon's value is deterrence. This is a household spat. Don't unleash the whole arsenal. He snarled, then retreated into the shadows like a tiger drawing back its claws, waiting for one word from me. Half an hour later, the villa door opened and Elena came in, frost on her face. I couldn't help the smile that slipped out, part amusement, part disbelief. She had the audacity to bring him home. She tried her usual excuses. I was in a meeting, she lied, voice thin. My father didn't bother with civility. A meeting at this hour? He snapped. With whom? Tell me and I'll verify it. Elena faltered. She hadn't been in any meeting. She'd been at dinner with Fernando. The post was public enough, the photo obvious, and I'd already shown it to my in-laws. Seeing the bandage on my arm wiped whatever composure she had left from her face. Her eyes went wide, then wild. You hit him? Father's words were a slap in themselves. She stammered, and I said, soft and steady, No, I did this to myself. The truth landed like a physical blow. My father's hand moved before anyone could stop it. The slap cut sharp. Blood bloomed at her nose. Fernando, startled, fumbled for a tissue, embarrassed and suddenly small. Mother clenched her jaw so hard I could see the ache behind it. Shame, she hissed. What happened to our family's dignity? Her words were a whip. Fernando's bravado dissolved. He tried to look contrite, to explain, but the room closed around him. Elena lunged for him, grabbed his hand, pleaded innocence. We're just colleagues. She was desperate, protective, but the spectacle only made her case worse. An ashtray sailed through the air and mist. The message was clear. The Lin house would not be fooled. She slammed the door when she left, dragging the sound behind her. I stood quiet and cold. There's nothing more to say, I told my parents. If she insists on this, then I'll file for divorce. Morning came with a different kind of theater. The chief assistant bumped into Fernando in the lobby. the man still trying to smile through the ruin of yesterday. He sneered, "You were fired." "What are you doing back here?" Fernando straightened, then faltered when I walked up. I looked down at him like a man looking at a toy soldier. "He's now my fully authorized representative," I announced. "Tell Elena to meet me in 15 minutes. Fernando's confidence cracked. "President Lin is in a meeting." "Then tell her this is about divorce," I said, loud enough for the hallway to listen. "If she's not here in 15 minutes, I'll burn down her office." I patted Fernando's shoulder, a fake brotherly touch, and left him standing in the echo of my words. I told Fernando, half smiling, half mocking, "I'm handing my position over to you someday. Whether you make it to the CEO's bed, well, that depends on your own skills." 10 minutes later, Elena walked into the meeting room, her face like carved ice. I'd already made my move. 2 employees who publicly flattered Fernando were fired on the spot. I wanted to send a clear message. Anyone who offends Elena might still have a future here. But anyone who crosses me, Alexia, will be shown the door. She looked at me coldly. Alexia, making a scene in broad daylight. "What exactly do you want?" I didn't bother replying. The chief assistant quietly placed a divorce agreement on the table in front of her. "President Lin," he said, "please review the terms and sign at the bottom." Her eyes swept over the document, and for a moment I saw a flicker of disbelief, anger, confusion, maybe even fear. "Alexia, what are you trying to do?" she demanded. I pointed at the papers. "Divorce. Can't you read?" I leaned back in my chair, calm, detached. "The division of assets is fair. Our family's businesses will still cooperate. I'm only taking an extra 5% of the year-end bonus. I'll need it for our son. He's staying with me. I won't have him grow up with a mother who jumps from one relationship to another." Her composure cracked. "Is this because of Fernando? Why should he stay with you? He's my child too." I waved a hand, dismissive. "The child has lived with his grandparents and a nanny since birth." "Tell me, Elena, how many days have you actually spent with him?" Her voice rose. "I've told you I haven't cheated. What do I have to do to make you believe me?" I nodded slowly. "I believe you. You haven't betrayed me. At least not yet." "Then why?" she whispered. "Why divorce me?" "Because you're dirty," I said quietly. "You gave your secretary $1 million watch. You let him stand in for me at the banquet. You had dinner by candlelight, brought him home, smiled for photos, and you expect me to stay blind?" "People talk, Elena. Everyone's been warning me, but you never listen." I leaned forward, meeting her eyes. "If I were the one having dinner with another woman, bringing her home, letting her meet my parents, and then told you we were just friends, what would you think?" I slid the pen toward her. "Just sign it. I need to take our son to the hospital this afternoon. I don't have time to waste." She froze. "What's wrong with him?" I stared at her. "You really don't know?" Her face went pale as the memory came back. My call, days ago, telling her he had a fever. She'd been too busy to answer. Too busy to even remember. "You don't need to worry," I said coldly. "What do you mean?" "He's my son." I cut her off. "He's my son. Mu family's blood. You've lost the right to call him yours." Her voice cracked. "Alexia, what are you saying?" "The literal meaning," I said. "My son doesn't need a mother who flirts with her secretary. You haven't cheated yet, but you've already accepted his affection, his attention. Maybe today you still have boundaries. Tomorrow? Who knows? I'm not willing to gamble on that." I paused, then said it like a verdict. "When weeds start to grow, you pull them out early. This child, I'll raise him alone. He'll only be my son. If you want a child, have one with someone else. You're not menopausal yet." She looked shattered. But I didn't stop. "I've told you already, and you're dirty. I don't want you anymore. Elena, let's divorce." She didn't sign. She just sat there, trembling, silent. When I left the building, the sound of my footsteps echoed down the marble hallway. Behind me, Fernando came running. "Sir, please, wait." He stood in front of me, pretending calm. "Can we talk?" I glanced at my watch. "We can talk here. I'm busy."
"Sir, you've misunderstood," he said.
"There's nothing between me and President Lin. Stop!" I cut him off. "If that's all you came to say, don't waste my time." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "Everyone has motives, Fernando. Yours are written all over your face. You wear that damn watch every day, no matter what you're wearing, just to remind everyone how special you are in Elena's eyes. You post photos, little captions, hints about how close you two are, like it's your trophy." He looked stunned. I didn't stop. You know where you don't belong, yet you show up anyway. You test her limits, you test mine. And if you really had no feelings for her, you wouldn't be bragging in the office about how to conquer a female boss. Fernando's face drained of color. His silence said more than his words ever could. Fernando looked at me, his tone trembling between fear and defiance. How do you even know all this? I sighed, almost amused. Because I'm still her husband and people love to talk. They tell me everything and they'd rather confide in me than keep your little secrets. He straightened his back, trying to sound confident. So what? You're still getting divorced, aren't you? Has she even signed the papers yet? There was a flicker in his eyes, pride or maybe desperation. So what if she hasn't? She will, sooner or later. I leaned closer. And when she does, what then? You think you'll take my place? Tell me, Fernando, what can you actually offer her? Do you have the money to be her equal? The connections to expand her empire? The kind of power that can protect her name? He hesitated, then said quietly, no, but I look like her first love. I can help her relive the good memories. I couldn't help but laugh. So that's it. You know you're just a stand-in, a cheap copy of someone she once loved. And the thing about substitutes? They always get replaced. I stepped back, hands in my pockets. If Elena wants to protect you, let her. But I'm not a saint. I don't forget. And I don't take 10 years to strike back. He frowned, his confidence cracking. What do you want? If you touch me, President Lin won't let you off. Relax, I said with a cold smile. I don't need to touch you. I'll just make sure everyone in this industry knows who you really are. The whispers will spread, the doors will close, and soon even Elena won't be able to save you. Maybe she'll try to tuck you away in some quiet corner of the company, or maybe she'll just cut you loose. Either way, you'll be finished. I started to walk away, then turned back. Oh, one more thing. I took out my phone, pressed play. A video flickered on screen. A street, a car, a dog. His dog. My driver accidentally hit it this morning, I said calmly. It didn't make it. You'll get the compensation soon. My condolences. I left him standing there, motionless, broken, outside the company doors, mourning not just his dog, but the little illusion he'd built for himself. I never expected Sean to take it that far. Within a week, he dug up every skeleton in Fernando's closet, and there were plenty. Turns out, back in high school, he'd been expelled for assaulting a teacher. Later, he clawed his way back into society by becoming the secret lover of a university president. That relationship got him a degree. When that ended, he moved on to a talent market director, and from there, with a face that resembled Elena's late first love, he slipped into her company and into her life. Sean and his wife made sure the world knew. Overnight, the gossip spread like wildfire. How the Lin family's daughter turned on her husband for a pretty boy, and how that same husband had finally filed for divorce. Elena's parents couldn't sit still anymore. Outraged and humiliated, they dragged her home for a lesson in discipline. By morning, the company had issued Fernando's termination letter. When he refused to leave, security escorted him out, and Elena, with ice in her eyes, personally took back the $1 million watch she once gave him. That night, her parents came to my family home, heads bowed, asking for forgiveness. But my father wasn't feeling merciful. Oh, now you know she was wrong? He thundered. Where was this wisdom before? You let a nobody step all over my son, and you think that's something we'll forget? He slammed his cane against the floor. If it had been her first love, the one who once saved her life, maybe I'd understand. But this cheap replacement? You insulted the Mu family. He looked them dead in the eye. My son helped your company because you had no heir. Don't mistake that for weakness. The orders he gives your firm, he can take them back with one phone call. And don't forget, my grandson's surname is Mu, not Lin. He doesn't need your daughter hanging around pretending to be his mother. The Lin parents turned red, their ambitions laid bare. But for the sake of their company and their grandson, they swallowed their pride and begged me to forgive her one last time. It was too late. When I gave Elena a chance, she threw it away. Now, I didn't have another one to give. She tried for months, calls, letters, visits, but I never looked back. Eventually, she broke down and signed the papers. The day we stood in the Civil Affairs Bureau, signing away our marriage, Sean leaned in and whispered, "You heard about Fernando?" I shook my head. He's in another city now. Found himself another rich woman. But her husband found out, broke both his legs. He's gone, vanished. I didn't respond. I just looked ahead, my fingers brushing the edge of my divorce certificate. You see, a proper ex should be as good as dead. Half a year later, my son had started walking, wobbly, determined. His first words were Dad and Grandpa and Grandma. When Elena's parents heard him call them maternal grandma and maternal grandpa, tears filled their eyes. My father, however, had little patience for sentiment. Enough, he snapped. Get out! Father Lin lost his temper that night. He went home and unleashed all his anger on Elena, and she ended up in the hospital. After that, she and her parents came by often, begging, pleading, hoping for another chance. I let the grandparents see the boy why not? More love never hurts a child. But whenever he called her mom, I stopped him. I told him the truth as I saw it. She isn't your mother. Each time, Elena broke. I could see it in her eyes and the regret, the pain. But that didn't change anything. She begged me over and over to remarry, saying our son needed a mother. I always gave her the same answer. Don't worry. One day I'll tell him his mother never cheated. She simply died. Because the truth is, forgiving someone once just opens the door for them to hurt you again. And I'm not the kind of man who places his heart in someone else's hands. Not anymore. Like I told her before, that was the first time. And the last. Now her apologies arrive too late and mean nothing at all.